In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One.
All right. Oh, what an amazing room. Just take a look at this amazing room full of people. I thought it was beautiful outside. You come in here with all the pink and the balloons and the flowers and all the friendly faces. It's even more beautiful in here. My name is Chris Crocker. I'm with 4 News now, and this is my 17th year hosting this amazing event. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I love seeing it grow and change each year. And today, this is exciting, we have the largest audience ever. And I got to tell you, that is more meaningful because I was also in the one with the smallest audience ever during COVID. And to see this explode and be back better than ever is just really exciting. 8 inspiring new honorees are here today, including the youngest honoree to ever receive a Women of Achievement Award. And we will soon hear from our wonderful and esteemed keynote speaker, Margaret Mitchell, the CEO of YWCA USA. Yes. But right now, it is my privilege to invite the Honorable Mayor Lisa Brown to the stage to open today's proceedings. Mayor Brown.
Knowing so many people in this room, this is just absolute. Oh, they give me a step to stand on. Awesome. The YWCA thinks of everything. Knowing the amazing people in this room, it's just such an honor and pleasure to stand here with you today. Thank you so much, Chris. Hello and welcome, everyone. Happy Women's History Month. In the past 42 years, YWCA Spokane has honored over 275 women for their achievements and their commitment to the Spokane community. It is my pleasure to be here today celebrating this year's honorees, and also to acknowledge the importance of the services many in our community rely on from the YWCA Spokane. I invite you to stand, if you are able, for a presentation of our flags by Girl Scout Troop 4340 and for the national anthem performed by local student Janice Howard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still spangled banner, yeah, wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Janice. What a beautiful performance. My goodness. Thank you, Mayor Brown, and thank you, Girl Scouts. How about those daisies? Where are those? They are key. Oh, lovely start. Thank you, Girl Scouts, the presentation of the flags. One of the reasons this event always bursts with such incredible energy is that it is an annual reunion of honorees, decades of winners whose service, dedication, and sisterhood provide continual inspiration. So right now I'd like to invite all the honorees past and present to stand so we can acknowledge you.
everyone. My name is Yvonne Escobel-Smith.
And I'm Carrie Grandstaff. We are your co-chairs for this year's Women of Achievement Springtime Celebration. And we're so happy to see you all here today.
What an energizing start to our time together. It is a tremendous honor to have past and present Women of Achievement fill this room with their vitality and embodiment of the mission of the YWCA to eliminate racism and empower women.
And that performance by Janice, and then the incredibly talented North Central STEP team, part of the Learning Project Network. We're so honored to have all of these young people here with us today. Amazing, thank you.
We are so excited to introduce you to this year's honorees. Melody Chang Heaton, Colleen Rupert, Christine Hoover, Samantha Clark, Stephanie Courtney, Vanessa Waldrop, Denise Smart, and Sindhu Sarapanane. Do you know what I practiced that too, Sindhu. I'm so sorry.
These women bring the mission and vision of the YWCA to life in our community, promoting a world of peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all, every day of the year. They embody our spring theme, sharing their diverse talents and beauty to help others grow and thrive. You'll get to know each of them and their contributions to this community later in our program today.
We would also like to acknowledge some other special guests with us today. Please hold your applause while I acknowledge them all. To all local, state, and federal elected officials, members of the judiciary, and veterans and current members of the armed forces here, thank you so much for your service. To all of our table captains, Women of Achievement Planning Committee, volunteers, thank you for bringing us together and making this event possible. And finally, to STCU as staff sponsor, who has generously donated 50 seats for YWCA staff to be able to be here with us today. I want to say thank you to all of the YWCA staff in attendance today. All of us in this room are so incredibly grateful for the essential work you do supporting our community each day.
Thank you, Carrie and Yvonne. Lot of work. These two have been doing an amazing job. And now it is my honor to introduce Susan Stacy, the Chief Executive of Providence Inland Northwest, today's signature sponsor. She has a few words for us.
I love the box. Thank you, Chris. I am truly honored to be here today to welcome you to this amazing celebration. The YWCA's Women of Achievement is a cornerstone event for our community, and today marks the 25th year of Providence's commitment to the YWCA through this event. We come back year after year because we, along with the Y, believe that incredible, strong, innovative, brave women need to be revered and celebrated. At Providence, we have a mission that carries our work every day. We are here to care for all, especially those who are poor and vulnerable. And that is why we align with the YWCA's tireless work. As this community knows, if a woman is in danger in her home, the YWCA is a safe haven. And not only does the Y help victims of domestic violence, they are also proactively working to educate and prevent it from occurring. And I am honored to introduce a woman today who needs no introduction to this room. Jeanette Hawk has been with the YWCA Spokane for 13 years. First, she was a CFO for 9 years, and now she has been the CEO since 2001. Jeanette is a fearless and compassionate leader, and she's going to help us get going with this incredible event. Jeanette?
We are I have to say thank you to the DJ. It's an amazing thing to have a walk-up song. I mean, who in the world would have ever thought? Thank you, Susan. The support of Providence is essential to our services in this community. We hold deep respect for you and your organization. Welcome. Hello, everyone. How exciting is this? It's so beautiful. I'm just so grateful to everyone who's here today. I'm glad you're here to celebrate some of the most extraordinary women in our community. The mission of the YWCA Spokane is to eliminate racism and to empower women. What an honor it is to welcome Margaret Mitchell, the CEO of the YWCA USA. She's here to share her knowledge and passion for the mission with us. Margaret, thank you for being here today. It's been a pleasure to be able to experience some camaraderie and community with you over the past 24 hours, so thank you. I appreciate it. And to the amazing YWCA staff in this room, and to those who stayed behind, back in the office and at our safe shelter, thank you. All of the work all of you work to create a culture of belonging and safety. I am grateful and humbled for all that you do. We are truly blessed by a community of sponsors and partners that give so generously to the YWCA and to the entire Spokane community. I'd like to take a moment to highlight our mission partners. These are organizations who are dedicated to the values and the mission of YWCA Spokane. They have committed to giving at least $100,000 over the period of 3 years. We are honored by their partnership and their commitment to our work. Thank you again to Providence Healthcare. Thank you to Numerica Credit Union, Kalispel Tribe of Indians and Northern Quest Resort and Casino, Hamilton Studio, Ag West Farm Credit, and Multicare. I also want to acknowledge Washington Trust Bank, our Women's History Month sponsor. Their support ensures that we are able to broaden our reach in the community throughout the month of March and highlight the incredible honorees. Those wonderful banners that you see in River Park Square were sponsored by Washington Trust. Thank you to all of the sponsors who have covered the cost of today's event and have given support to our programs and services. A complete list is in your beautiful program, and this program was designed by Hannah Agency. You've probably noticed that there are several beautiful things at your table. The custom cutting boards were provided by Inland Imaging, our gift sponsor today, and the centerpieces and the floral decor were done by our floral sponsor, Deluxe Florals and Events. So, before we move on, we must recognize that there are wars raging in our world that are causing unspeakable loss of life and creating horrific destruction. There is a crisis across America, leaving unhoused, mentally ill, addicted individuals alone and vulnerable without resources. Today, in Spokane, we gather in hope that each of us can set an example of empathy, compassion, and generosity in these challenging times. May we be the peacemakers and the peacekeepers. Will you please join me in a moment of silence and reflection? Thank you.
It is now time to welcome our keynote speaker, and we are so very excited to have her here today. But right now, I invite Carla Cicero, President and CEO of Numerica Credit Union, our keynote sponsor, to do the honor of introducing Margaret.
Thank you, Chris. I am proud to be here today representing Numerica Credit Union and to introduce this year's incredible keynote speaker. In 2022, Margaret Mitchell was named CEO of YWCA USA, one of the nation's oldest and largest women's organization. But her tireless work to advance the YWCA's mission of eliminating racism and empowering women started well before that. I encourage you to read the bio in the program to learn more about her background and the incredible work that she did in her 10 years as CEO of YWCA Greater Cleveland. Margaret joins us today having traveled straight from the UN Commission on the Status of Women. Please join me in welcoming Margaret Mitchell to the stage.
I do love that song by Audra Day. I am so excited to be here with all of you in Spokane, Washington. It's true, this is my very first time to be in Spokane. I have been trying to get here, honest, I can prove it, but this really is my first time in Spokane, and I'm so thrilled to be here. You see, I have a really good friend who lives in Spokane, a friend I have known my entire life. In fact, this friend, his father, married my parents. His mother was my mother's best woman at the wedding. And not only that, not only the story of their wedding, but they would stay together long past that wedding day in Trinity, California, in Shasta County, the most northern county in California. They would stay together as they would move my parents to the Bay Area and my friends' parents to my parents to Fresno and my friends' parents to the Bay Area. It was such an amazing group, a family unit almost, to be in and to experience. You see, my friend's father would leave the ministry to start a nonprofit. And that nonprofit was Huckleberry House for Runaways. And at that time, in California, if you were a runaway, you were criminalized. Basically, today, we would recognize that these young people were homeless. But Huckleberry House became a safe house for young people. And my parents would travel from California, from Fresno, to the Bay Area and spend time at Huckleberry House. They would cook and clean and build, and they would spend time with the young people. It was amazing. It was extraordinary. And I was taught and modeled and learned that you lived a life for others. And I think I want to just say a word about my mother and my friend's mother, because they loved each other. They wrote letters to each other. they were the most amazing friends. And my friend's mother loved me, and I loved her. She was an amazing reader. She loved books. And I love books to this day. I am always reading 3 books at a time. And I have so many books from her. And she gave me so many gifts. She instilled in me this confidence, this contentment, this ability to be me. She was always whispering in my ear. And I remember that so strongly. I think you all may know my friend. My friend is Brian Beggs, Judge Brian Beggs. It was an amazing, amazing, amazing life and friendship, and it's crazy. It's crazy. What I take away from that childhood is how important it is and what an amazing gift it is to witness each other's life over a long period of time. Our fathers witnessed each other's lives, our mothers witnessed each other's lives, and Brian and I have had an opportunity to do the exact same. And it's so important. There's nothing that you can take from that. It is true that I was in New York for the UN Commission on the Status of Women. I was there, and I can tell you it's an amazing, amazing experience to see thousands of women from all over the globe who are doing the same work, having the same goals, and the same inspiration, that women would reach equity, have equity, own equity all over this globe. You know, Beijing happened 30 years ago now, and it was at Beijing that Hillary Clinton said, "Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights." It'll be 30 years next year. And it was with that speech, that statement, and that move that we really began to understand how important it is to collect data, to understand how we move the needle on women's issues. I want you to know that social scientists say we are about 150 years from having gender equity. 150 years. Now, I know for some people in this room that is disheartening, but it isn't. That is the light at the end of the tunnel. My mother is 93 years old, and I had a granddaughter born yesterday. And while I may not get there, I know that my granddaughter and her daughter and her son are going to experience the greatest level of gender equity and racial equity we have seen in this country. And I'm excited by that. I believe in that. I want that. And what we can do today, here in this room, is keep the gas, keep our foot on the pedal, continue to accelerate. My shiro, Dr. Dorothy Height, said that social justice work is a relay race. And we are now holding the baton, and we'll pass it on. But we must continue to run. That is our job now. I want to say just a little bit about YWCA Spokane. It really is an honor and a privilege to see the work that happens at Spokane, at our YWCA in Spokane. When women enter into that door, they enter into a social contract with the YWCA of Spokane. And that social contract says, you are more than the sum of your trauma. We see you. And that social contract says, we are committed 100% to identifying what you need, how you need it, when you need it, and where you need it, so that you can thrive. This is the work of the YWCA. And it is amazing to be able to see the radical belonging that permeates throughout that building, and every single one, every single team member associated with the YWCA. It is absolutely incredible. What I want you to know is that the YWCA is a lighthouse. A lighthouse cuts through the fog. A lighthouse sheds light on the rocks so that the ships can see the obstacles. That is the work that the YWCA does. They are lighthouses. They are lifesavers. They are lifelines. And I thank the YWCA Spokane for all that you do every day to ensure that children and families and women and gender diverse individuals thrive. Thank you, YWCA Spokane. You know, in closing, I want to say that my first 3 years as a YWCA leader in Cleveland, I recognized that I was serving as imposter in chief. I served as imposter in chief because for my first 3 years, I walked into that building, and while I leaned into our empowering women, I did not lean into our racial equity work. And all of that changed when a little boy in Cleveland was murdered by the police. That little boy, Tamir Rice, was shot while he played on a playground. And my team lined up outside my door and gave me a vote of no confidence. It was one of the most difficult days in my career. But together, we committed to ensure that that little boy's death would never be in vain. And we promised that we would grow together and learn together, even when it was difficult, challenging, and scary, because of that little boy. And we began doing the work. We did equity work inside our organization, inside ourselves, we made major transformation, small transformation, large transformation. And in 2019, we began hearings with our city council in 2019, demanding, encouraging that we declare racism a public health crisis in Cleveland. And in 2020, everything changed, and that declaration would come to stand. It is long-term scaffolding around dismantling structures within the city to be able to enjoy the greatest and highest level of equity for everyone. And it was an amazing to see where we'd been. From November of 2014, when my staff had stood outside my door, to 2020, when again blood was required for change to happen in our hearts and our communities. And what I say to you is don't let that little boy's death be in vain. Don't let that moment, that experience, that pricks your own heart, that you now have moved past, don't let that be in vain. Radical belonging, gender equity, and racial equity is one of the most important and vital things that we can do. Not long after I first became CEO for YWCA USA, I was in California visiting a college campus. Now, if I name this campus, you would know it immediately. And I was there meeting with students who work for the YWCA, volunteer for the YWCA, are passionate about our mission. It was the most exciting, engaging opportunity to engage with young people. And we sat there talking. I was just having the time of my life. And as we were winding down, a staff person said to me, well, since you're here, I'm going to ask you a question I know you can do something about. And so I was excited. It piqued my interest. I said, of course, ask me anything. So this person said, I want to ask you if you could do something about that mission. It's just too strong. You really got to tone it down. Now, mind you, I was about 3 months into my new job. And I was sitting with my board chair. And let's just say that my internal thermometer was going through the roof. You know the feeling. I sat there and I didn't quite know what to say or how to say it. And so I really mumbled my way through something. And for weeks later, I just was so disappointed in myself. I just kept thinking about what I coulda, woulda, shoulda said again and again and again. And finally, I woke up one morning and I realized that our mission, eliminating racism, and empowering women is an invitation to everything better. Eliminating racism and empowering women is an invitation to everything better. Thank you. Thank you.
Rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up.
Says it right there, just in case you forget. What an amazing, amazing speech. Thank you so much, Margaret, for your inspiring words, your words to action, and providing us with a deeper understanding of the beautiful community that the YWCA is on a national and global scale. Now I'd like to invite Linda Hendrickson to introduce some of the work YWCA Spokane is doing right here in our community. Linda is YWCA Spokane's board president this year, and she is the Chief Engagement Officer at AgWest Farm Credit, today's survivor sponsor. Linda?
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Margaret, for that just amazing, inspiring message today, and for all you do for the YWCAs across America. On behalf of the Spokane YWCA Board of Directors, I invite you today to join us in a celebration of the YWCA's programs and the way our dedicated staff changes the lives of women, families every day across the community. Their work is challenging, deeply humbling to us, and so very important. When I talk with my families and friends and colleagues and supporters of the YWCA of Spokane, I often find them amazed at the scope and the impact of our services. While you may know that the YWCA offers crisis support for those experiencing domestic violence, you probably have not seen how they walk alongside those survivors for months and years, empowering them to grow and to heal. Or how they work with the children, youth, and families to break those cycles of trauma and abuse, preventing the future violence. 12 programs, 9 directors, and nearly 100 team members, all working to empower women, children, survivors, and families in Spokane. As you watch this video, I hope you gain a deeper understanding of the continuum of care provided at the YWCA, and the reason why I believe and why AgWest Farm Credit believes so strongly in supporting this organization.
Domestic violence calls are one of the most dangerous calls that officers respond to. They are typically in crisis when they're calling, so there's a lot of emotions involved. Just in 2023 alone, there were almost 7,000 domestic violence calls. When you break it down, it's basically one domestic violence call related every hour to hour and 20 minutes. The partnership and relationship that we've built with the YWCA and the Family Justice Center has really been immeasurable. The advocates can help them safety plan and help them with other valuable and needed resources and help them heal.
Oftentimes, a survivor in our community's first touch is with our 24-hour helpline. That team talks to survivors about safety planning, resources, referrals, supportive listening, and sometimes those conversations also lead into a stay into our emergency safe shelter. People show up at our door wearing what they have, sometimes in slippers, kids in pajamas, and our role is to start small of what needs can we meet right now, what needs are we meeting tomorrow, and then what are we gradually working to our long-term goals of stability and safety.
For those that don't come through the helpline, sometimes our legal advocates, our criminal legal advocates, they go through and they get all the lethality assessment protocols, the laps from law enforcement every morning. The shelter, the helpline folks put them into the computer, and then the advocates, the legal advocates come in the morning and they start reaching out to the people who've been identified by law enforcement as being victims of DV and high risk. And we can get there, make the phone calls, and then hopefully then hand them off to the people that can provide.
I really like that our agency has both specialized advocates who are there for the legal part or for the housing part. And then in the support department, we are just there for the general support. So the support advocates are there to kind of start addressing all of it and then connecting to the resources, which might be the housing advocates, which might be the helpline, might be legal advocacy or civil legal advocacy. Because that crisis, there's so much going on, it's sometimes really hard to organize where I even need to start in that moment.
We do something special in our housing department where we're not a one and done, here's your housing, see you later. We're really engaged in their process because a lot of times, once folks have come out of that crisis situation and are finally able to breathe, a lot of that trauma that they've been carrying surfaces and makes it difficult for them to maintain stability for them and their families.
In the Women's Opportunity Center, it's about helping women come out of isolation and get into community with other people who have experienced similar things, which can really be powerful in helping someone move forward. It's a long journey and it's, a piece at a time, and each individual's so different.
Most of the time people come to us and say, I just want to feel better, right? I just want to feel better. And so it's up to the therapist to really figure out, what does that really mean? And through the assessment process, we're able to delineate what impact has that event had on this person and what does it mean for them now.
Building nervous system resiliency is really about learning skills around being able to respond versus react and knowing the difference between those two things.
It's the strength and resiliency of the folks that we speak to, and just, being able to see people who think that they can't do a lot because they've been told they can't do so much. Finally do it, and just being able to celebrate that moment with them is such a special thing to be able to witness.
They are so much more involved than anybody knows except for the person who's experiencing it.
It can be rare for youth voices to be centered in the way that our agency really strives to do. And talking with teens, particularly about the dynamics they're experiencing in the relationships, it feels like a shift.
Just because you come from this family dynamic, it doesn't mean that you have to repeat the cycle. Having that choice of you get to decide how you want to navigate your relationships and what kind of relationships you want to foster versus thinking that it's set in stone because this is what you come from.
I work with the ECAP children and families. One of the things that I see so prevalently with our families is domestic violence, and the kids oftentimes are witnessing it. Then they come to school and they reenact that, and we have the opportunity to pause right then and there and talk about how do we feel about it? Why are we behaving that way? My opinion is when they then become adults, they will have those skills to be able to say man, I'm really upset here and this is why, versus turning it around and being violent with someone else. It's a full circle program, and that's so cool. And that's how change is made.
I think one of the other things that I enjoy is building partnerships in relationships. We can't do this on our own. The work really requires that we connect as a community and learn how not just staff at the Y further this work, but how do we work together?
It's a journey watching the resiliency of these families that we're working with.
If someone gives us an opportunity to let us in, boy, what a gift.
You become a part of their family and helping them in their growth.
It's awesome to see them build that rapport so quickly and find that place of belonging within our camp.
I'm very, very committed to the idea of a world without violence. That motivates me every single day.
What a powerful look. At the work that is being done at the YWCA Spokane. I heard that we have been joined by over 50 staff members today. And if you are a service provider at YWCA Spokane, would you please stand so that we can take a moment to thank you?
There they are.
I said earlier that they are lighthouses, and they are in fact lighthouses, and they are witnesses. Thank you for the life-changing gifts you are providing every single day by showing up for survivors, for families and children. They are there present when families are at their most vulnerable, most fragile, in need, and the ability to see that and witness that is just such a deep, deep honor. And together, we are here celebrating the 42nd gathering of what empowered women can do. And I'm a big fan of the YWCA Spokane, you know that, and have been following your success. And so grateful to Jeanette's friendship. And I know the comprehensive, forward-thinking, empowering programs that you are doing. I know that they do not just pop out of the thin air. I know that work happens because of you, because each and every one of you, I'm not talking about staff now, I'm talking about every single one of you in this room today. Whether it's your first time or your 42nd time, you are here because you have a shared belief. You are sharing in the invitation to everything better. And you believe that women, that one woman can make a difference. And the women we are honoring today, they are change makers. And they do not do it alone. They say teachers, their mothers, their elders, quietly and not so quietly challenge the norms for them to be able to be who they want to be. It is the same thing that Nina did for me, that Nina Beggs did for me. And I want you to look around this room because those women are here today. It is the women who invited you, the women across the table from you, and the women who hold you deep in their hearts. Among us are women and men and allies who have funded this cause for decades. And now it's our opportunity to build on this legacy and make life-changing gifts for a survivor, for a child, for a family, in Spokane, right here. And as you begin to think about your gift that you can make today, please quietly take a moment with me to think about the many, many costs of domestic violence in our community. How it is the leading cause of homelessness for women. How it affects a child's ability to attend school and to learn. The cost of lost time at work for both the employer and the employee. How the never-ending mental and emotional toll affects physical and mental well-being. And the greatest of them all, the countless lives cut short at the hands of someone who had promised love. These costs are too high, not just for the individual, but for this entire community. Think about the achievements that she could have made when she has that support that empower her to be unstoppable. Support that provides safety and planning and physical and emotional security and financial stability when she is free from fear. Listen, I'm a big believer in the possible, and the power of this room today is palpable. The YWCA Spokane team has set a record-breaking goal to raise $100,000 in this room today for support of survivors. And I think we can reach it. Will you please join me in scanning the QR code to give online? There's also a table, there's also an envelope at your table, and you can write a check or put cash into that envelope. Would you give? Would you be making a meaningful gift, a gift that is meaningful to you? Would you be bold with us? Your big number, whatever the amount, allows YWCA programs and staff to dry tears, collaborate with survivors, and set them on a path that is right for them, for their thriving future. Your meaningful contribution, which is different for everyone in this room. It could be $500 spread out over several years, $20,000 today, a monthly impact gift of $100 or $50 or $25. Each contribution provides the assurance to YWCA to be able to answer every client need. This is the best opportunity you have for changing course, for changing a woman's life, a child's life, a family's life. Today we celebrate, and today I want you to seize the opportunity, because together this community has gathered here because you understand that we are equal, powerful, unstoppable, and fearless. And our actions right now, with your personal contribution, let every woman know she is loved, she has value, and she matters. Together, this YWCA community is absolutely unstoppable. Thank you. Thank you for giving. Thank you for giving. Thank you for giving.
Were you watching that thermometer? Look at that go. There are some big numbers on there. Let's keep them going. Yes, very, very nice. Thank you. Okay, we got a little, well, it's still going up. Well, I got to move on, but we'll keep an eye on that. But what an incredible program it has been so far. And thank you so much, Margaret. And thank you all for giving generously to the essential community cause that YWCA Spokane is. If you are giving with cash or a check, again, use the envelopes on the table to enclose your giving card and donation, and in about 5 minutes volunteers will come around to collect those envelopes so that we can count your gift toward this total. We want to see if we've got to make, oh gosh, we're doing good. I'm going to stop watching that, or I'm going to lose track of the program here, but we will try to give you a total to announce at the end of the program. So continue to give throughout the program to help us reach today's life-changing goal of $100,000. Every single gift makes an enormous difference. And at this point in the program, we normally take a pause to have everybody write checks, but since those QR codes are so fast that I think we could probably move on, because it is time to celebrate our honorees, and that is very exciting. The YWCA received the largest number of nominations ever for this year's award. There's a lot of folks doing some good things in this community, but it was a mighty task choosing just one woman for each category from this extraordinary pool of candidates. And when judging, many criteria are considered, including excellence in their careers and community roles, the lasting and meaningful contribution to the community, and the work they've done to empower and serve others. These 8 inspirational women plant seeds of hope and healing, beauty, and diversity in our community, and we are thrilled to place a spotlight on each of them. We hope you will take the time to read their full bios for the honorees and their accomplishments, and the incredible impact of their work on our community is profound. Our YWCA board chair, Linda Hendrickson, and our event co-chairs, Yvonne Smith and Carrie Grandstaff, will present each honoree with her award after a short video feature, and that we ask you hold your applause and cheering and wild celebration until the winner has received her award. All right, our first award for arts and culture goes to Melody Chang Heaton. And before we hear from Melody and her nominator, I'd like to announce a quick correction to Melody's bio in the printed program. It says Melody is Chinese. She is not. She is Taiwanese. And now let's take a look at Melody and her nominator.
Everyone in this town who's at all related to the arts knows Melody Heaton.
Something that really, really drives me is the lack of representation in a lot of rooms that I am fortunate to find myself in.
I would love to talk, if you're willing, about the Asian Opera Alliance. You're executive director. This is a national organization.
The mission of the Asian Opera Alliance is really to strive for broader equity in our industry. They're like those 15 operas. 2 or 3 of them are often portrayed in a very stereotypical way. Well, what else could Madame Butterfly be? Is it written in the score that she has to be dressed up like a geisha? Puccini did not write that in the score. They did very minimal rewrites to this production in Boston last year, and it was beautiful. We can still continue to do these beautiful works and do it in an impactful way without being offensive and racist. It's not that we're rewriting anything. It's we're preventing things from being canceled. Because if people are too scared of doing things, then a lot of art is gonna go away.
You're about to start doing that work in a really meaningful way in Spokane.
Spokane Valley Summer Theater is programming South Pacific. We can look back and say, okay, so there were also some problematic aspects of that, but how do we become better? A lot of companies have not looked at that and said, how do we more respectfully do this work? Because it is a beautiful story. It has a beautiful message that needs to be told, but it's overshadowed by the over-caricaturization of characters like Bloody Mary and Liat. And not only that, but a lot of them would put people of other races in yellowface. I trust that the director, Yvonne Johnson, will treat this story with respect. I feel so honored that these singers all trust me to advocate for them.
Congratulations, Melody. Wonderful. Thank you, Melody, for breaking down barriers for people of color and the many other ways you contribute to a diverse and vibrant arts and culture community. How wonderful. When you come up to get your award, it is a little confusing. You walk up the stairs, and then these lovely ladies will greet you and pose for a picture, smile, and we will applaud wildly as you do so. And so that was just perfect. Recognized in the business and industry category, our next award goes to Colleen Rubert. Let's take a look at Colleen's video.
These are young people who maybe diminished the way, our small community looks at them because they've made choices that aren't popular. Working with you and the team at Kalispell Career Training Center gives them the opportunity to shine in a better light.
Pend Oreille County is growing as people are moving to rural America. It's growing, and you can't get contractors, you can't get plumbers, you can't get electricians. It's really hard, and it's a long waiting list. The need for skilled trades is exacerbated in rural America.
Hearing young female tribal members, we were trying to help figure out, what career path they wanted to take, and they were like, we want to be Colleen.
When that particular girl said, I want to be you, she's hired, number one. She's full of a lot of spunk.
Can you share more about the summer program and what your team transforms to?
We actually bring in the Associated General Contractors, and they do a summer program, Head Start to the Construction Trades. Half of it is in the classroom, and the other half is out in the shop building something. That's a pretty cool program. And for a lot of the kids, we've had a few go on to trade schools or Spokane Community College because they spent the summer with us.
So can you share a little bit about, a couple years ago, COVID hit and everything changed, and what that did for your role at KCTC?
Prior to COVID, I oversaw Kalispell Metal Products, Kalispell Career Training Center, and Kalispell Case Line. We ended up building, during COVID, the Kalispell Cupboard, which is the food bank. The tribe decided they were going to update their playground, update their basketball court, and what better person to direct those projects than Colleen, which was wonderful. I had built a food bank. Okay, we could do a playground and a basketball court.
We're so proud of all the things you've done for the community and for our tribe.
I've always had a career helping people, and I think that caps it. I am no means done. We are only on this earth one time, and we better do what we can do to make it a better place, but enjoy yourself at the same time.
Congratulations, Colleen, and thank you for championing programs that provide tribal and community members the opportunity to learn skilled trades while receiving support and encouragement. Our next award has a unique place in the community. Carl Maxey was an exceptional Spokane attorney and civil rights activist. The Carl Maxey Racial and Social Justice Award recognizes an outstanding woman who, through a record of exemplary leadership and service in eliminating racism and promoting diversity through community service, racial reconciliation, and/or social justice outreach, carries forth the legacy of his work. And we would like to invite Carl Maxey's grandson, Morgan Maxey, to help present this award. Morgan. There's a little thing right here. It's nice to see you.
You too. How are you doing? Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for coming to this year's event. I am presenting the Carl Maxey Racial and Social Justice Award on behalf of the Maxey family. My grandfather would be pleased to know that his legacy continues to be carried on by women and men in our community. The award recognizes the outstanding service in the fight against discrimination. This year's recipient is an outstanding example of someone who continually finds visionary ways to combat hate and advocate for human rights. Through collaboration and a dedication to bridging social and cultural gaps, she creates opportunities for understanding and allyship. I am proud to present this award to Dr. Christine Hoover.
We change our culture by changing our conversation, and it's in choosing those conversations that have the power to create the future that I think is uplifting, right? It's that possibility. With you in the classroom, with our teaching students, with our engaging with student groups, where we get to have the opportunity to think about that future and to ask rigorous questions to make the world a better place, to nudge students to open their eyes to see for themselves how they understand the world and how they want to be a part of it and how they want to create a future that they would be proud of.
The beautiful parts of initiatives that you've led is this notion of being able to take the classroom into the community and into the community into the classroom. The work that you did for the city of Spokane, looking at the study of civil rights, inclusion, and equity, and then that formulating policy by creating an office and hiring somebody to fill that position.
One of the things that I try to do and learning from you is that deeper listening in that discernment process, and to listen to the voices that I get to hear, that I have the privilege to hear in the community, and to think, how do the resources that we have access to, how can they align to serve everybody's purpose, right? To serve the learning purpose of the students in a way that does help them develop and form as leaders for our community.
The book that you wrote, that was based on 40 years of experience around the Aryan nations and the case studies that you put together.
It provides a great tool that we're able to share in courses with our students, but also to help the students write the case studies, for them to get to know and interview people as part of that case study writing, and to feel empowered to go out into their own communities wherever they may live, so that they can be a force for good, to stand for those values. To shine a light in dark corners is something that's terribly uncomfortable, but it's for the purpose of a better tomorrow, and we cannot address what we cannot name.
Congratulations, Christine. What bold leadership and just incredibly inspiring work. I love these videos with the nominator talking to the winner. That is also very exciting and inspired, new this year. Our next award category is Community Enhancement, sponsored by Avista, and the honoree is Samantha Clark. Let's hear from Samantha and her nominator.
My grandmother had a really traumatic life, and that trauma and that abuse showed up in how she raised my father as a single teenage mother. I think really often on what had her life have looked like had she accessed behavioral health.
Can you talk about the difference in this model and why it's unique and the first for multi-care in Eastern Washington?
Often folks don't know, who are living in the Inland Northwest, that Multi-Care Behavioral Health is the largest behavioral health organization in the state. So we have other clinics that are similar in terms of scope, but not at all in terms of where the service is located, and that's definitely the difference. An outpatient behavioral health clinic, it might be standalone. Very rarely do you ever see them in a campus where there are so many other services that really treat whole person care, and just outside of even healthcare, but whole person community care. And so what's unique about us is that we're right across the street from Shaw Middle School, the Skills Center, On Track Academy. There's even another elementary school just behind the way. To be able to do that during the school day, right there on campus, within line of sight of the office, it's just incredible, and that's so unique. You won't find that most anywhere else.
Can you talk a little bit about why you were so dedicated to Hilliard and Northeast Spokane?
Sometimes it is so difficult just to get up in the morning, and you look at wanting to serve them best, and yet you're going to create, another dot on their map for the day that's 20 minutes away. I wanted to create something that was the least burdensome barrier for access as possible, and that's why I chose the Northeast Community Center, because it's already a hub, it's already the heart of a community, and we're just creating one more service for someone to have by coming to that community.
You've inspired many women in this community to achieve. What advice would you give to someone who's starting out in their career in behavioral health?
If you're a person who has a spark, who has a light, and you're struggling to keep that light aflame, find other people like you. Put your sparks together to create something that burns and is bright, That camaraderie is what will get you through the worst of storms. And being a woman, especially in marginalized parts of healthcare like behavioral health, you're going to need friends to weather that storm for sure.
Good things happening in Hilliard. I love that. And congratulations, Samantha. Thank you for moving to Spokane and just diving into the community and making such an incredible difference in behavioral health services in such a short amount of time. That is wonderful. The honor for education is being awarded to Stephanie Courtney, and here is her conversation with her nominator.
Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die due to pregnancy-related issues, and 60% of those causes are preventable. We are really thinking about what are the solutions and how do we activate them now. We have partnered with over 12 people in our community that are people of color who are dedicated to giving doula services and bringing cultural competent care to our community.
And I think that gives us that different understanding about education, because often when we think education is like classroom and sit and learn and read, and you really are so action oriented, and that's really the qualities of leader.
Stephanie, you are tenacious. You believe in people and you believe in the community.
We use art activism as a way to teach and a way for us to look at health equity issues in a different light. I dealt with infertility for over 7 years, 2 miscarriages and 1 live birth, and I just felt like I spent so much time trying to get people to believe me. For me, this is a way to help people be free.
You're sharing that power, you're sharing space with others. You're not just transmitting, information to others, you're actually kind of co-creating.
We as a community have just been like, what are our experiences and how do they overlap, and where are some of those things that where we can actually share some of those solutions. And I always tell people, just because you're focused on one group of people, you're finding solutions for everyone. And then we actually have a workforce that is knowledgeable, but the education that we're giving them should be passed down just like they do in cultural spaces, which is passing down those stories, passing down what is a rebozo, passing down what does it mean to have the closing of the bones, what does it mean to be able to breastfeed, and to really think about the trauma people may have had and why it's difficult for them to do that, and to walk them through that. The compassion and empathy that is happening through these organizations that we are working with, and including ours, is just phenomenal.
Congratulations, Stephanie. And one of the reasons that she had such responses, she is the director of the STEP group that performed for us at the beginning of the program. And I had an opportunity to watch them rehearsing, and she works magic. So congratulations, Stephanie. I've seen your passion firsthand for creating these programs to educate and serve overlooked communities, specifically those of color, and for fighting for rights for women's health. Congratulations. Our next award today is in the category of government and public service. The winner is Vanessa Waldruff. Let's take a moment to learn more about Vanessa.
The first woman to serve as the U.S. Attorney.
It wasn't a path that seemed possible to me even 2 decades ago, and now there are so many more pathways and opportunities that I think are possible for young women and young people from all different backgrounds.
What do you feel like is your greatest accomplishment as the U.S. Attorney?
The incredibly important role that the United States Attorney's Office plays in bringing safety to our tribal communities. We have 4 federally recognized tribes in the Eastern District of Washington, and the United States Attorney's Office is the critical player in federal prosecutions of felony crimes on the reservations. So when I came into this role, I really wanted to make sure that I built strong relationships with our tribal communities so that I could understand how to serve in that capacity effectively. It's being on the reservations, it's going to tribal events. I'm so proud that we are going to be the district that has the first MMIP AUSA focused on the issues of missing and murdered Indigenous people. One of the programs that I'm most proud of as the United States Attorney is our Safe Home, Safe Community initiative. We partnered with the YWCA domestic violence advocacy groups and our law enforcement team to identify how our office could be involved in prosecuting individuals who are unlawfully possessing firearms, who have also had a history of domestic violence. The data demonstrates that individuals with a history of domestic violence are most likely to be the perpetrators of violence in their homes, especially with firearms, and in our communities. So a key way of reducing violence in our community is by removing firearms from individuals who are not lawfully entitled to have them and have a history of domestic violence.
You care so much about every individual person. You're able to communicate and connect.
What I want to demonstrate to our community is that I care, and the work that we're doing every day is for the safety of the community.
You want to hear about the good work that Vanessa is doing, just watch 4 News Now. She's on doing great things all the time. It's always puts a smile on my face. Your courageous, tireless work fighting violent crime and giving voice to underserved communities is such a gift to our community. Thank you so much. The next award in Science, Technology, and Environment is sponsored by Kaiser Aluminum and goes to Denise Smart. Let's hear from Denise and her nominator.
You are brilliant and passionate and fiercely loyal, and just everything I value in a mentor and a colleague. What's been the most rewarding avenue of research within your career?
Even before the pandemic, I knew that nurses have a lot of pressures on them. I shifted to more workforce health. I took my own experiences knowing that I almost gave up being a nurse within 2 to 3 years of obtaining my license. What are the factors and variables that can keep nurses at the bedside, can keep nurses engaged in the love and passion for why they entered it to begin with? And what are some of the barriers? So I've taken that to just trying to support other nurses, bring students on board to share that passion for data and data acquisition, which would be research, and scholarship.
Science for the sake of discovery is fantastic, but yours takes it a step further.
One of my greatest, I want to say, efforts was as chair for a nurse practitioner, lieutenant colonel, and within that year, a policy change was made in the Air Force for a study that was only $13,000 funded. It made a big impact for active duty and reserve and National Guard females who have given birth. It extended the period of when they could then take their next fitness test. These 2 studies, both the qualitative and quantitative studies, made an impression at the Pentagon, and it made an impact in policy. I believe has made an impact in keeping female service members in the military longer. I feel I learned just as much from my students as students or other faculty learn from me. I go, you know what? At age 71, I just learned something I didn't know.
What important work, Denise, and an impressive body of work in nursing and research, and of course, thank you for your years spent in military service to our country. Our final Women of Achievement Award category recognizes an outstanding young woman that is making an impact early in her career to better our community, and this year's winner is our youngest ever. The winner is Sindhu Surapaneni. Let's hear it for Sindhu and her nominator.
My original thought was just to help others and do what I can to make a difference, and that started in 2020. I started doing art. I realized I got good at it, so I started teaching others how to do that online. I taught over 400 art classes that were free to these students.
I know you've made donations to Blessing Under the Bridge with some of your art, and I know you've got a foundation. Tell us a little bit more about that.
A lot of my art represents diversity and inclusion, and they're usually big canvas paintings. And I sell them, and the money I make from that I donate to organizations that support the homeless and low-income families or just people in need. And I started donating money that I made, the art classes that I taught. I started doing just some 6-week summer camps with just a $10 registration fee, and that's how I made more money. And this year I've been making my money more throughout doing henna in different events in the community and different things like that, where I've been able to make money and donate to those organizations.
Your artwork that has the globe in it with the hands, I know there's an installation in New York.
So that artwork is called Everyone is Loved Here. And the reason I created that is because in schools, I haven't always felt like I belonged and that I was loved in schools. So I wanted to make sure that others didn't feel that way. So it's in schools all across America.
What would you say to other kids who are maybe going through the same thing as you did growing up?
Try your best to not let negative things in your life affect you, and instead push back up from them and move on and try to look at them as experiences to grow and become a better person. It's not easy. Keep pushing forward because eventually things will get better if you keep trying. If I haven't gone through those negative obstacles in my life, especially in schools and the way I've been treated differently, I don't think I'd be the person I am today. Yes, they weren't positive experiences, but I was able to get positive outcomes from those experiences.
Congratulations, Sindhu, our youngest honoree ever. You leave us humbled by your resume of service to others, and we cannot wait to witness what your future holds. Every year, I am stunned by the work and dedication of our Women of Achievement Award winners. And again, you can read more about these incredible women in your programs and view their video interviews on the YWCA Spokane website. You can also visit the YWCA website to nominate a 2025 Women of Achievement candidate. Maybe you're thinking of someone today that you get on it and get them nominated right away before you forget. I don't think you would, though. Well, let's give one final round of applause to all of our award winners. And we need to see how we're doing on that $100,000 goal. Are we close? Oh, we are, it's within our grasp. It is beautiful outside. I would love to let you go out for recess, but let's see if we can get that needle to move a little bit. But I also want to thank everybody who has donated and the difference that we're making today. Your generosity will change lives at YWCA Spokane this year. And I don't know, how many of you are willing just to bump it up a little bit, $25 to $50? It's so easy with that QR code. Your phone will remember and fill in everything for you, because we would love to see that gap closed. Is it moving at all? It's going to be 55 today and sunny, and you still have some time. While we are making those final gifts and purchasing the gorgeous centerpieces too, we would like to do that. Those are for sale. YWCA Spokane has one more message to share with you about how you can be a part of the future of this movement.
I'm Dana Morris Lee, Chief Philanthropy Officer at YWCA Spokane. I'm so grateful that each and every one of you are here today. After 120 years of empowering women and working to eliminate racism, it became apparent we needed to create an endowment fund for our future. Our endowment fund has reached nearly $500,000 in 1 year. The first major donation of $100,000 came from Johnston Fix Foundation in honor of Harriet Fix. Deborah Schultz and Penn Fix are members of the foundation board.
Bill and Harriet have been supporting a list of organizations for many, many years. When this Forever Fund became a reality, we felt in honor of Harriet that this would be a wonderful gift to her and to start this endowment that is essential for survival of the Y.
The growth has come through gifts of all sizes, including stocks, investments, and by including YWCA in a will or estate plan. These kinds of gifts will continue year after year after year. When our endowment reaches a set amount, we will begin to draw from interest annually for operating purposes. The principle will always remain, earning interest, and imagine the number of lives that will be changed. Mary Alberts has a clear understanding of the Forever Fund.
When legislation changes, when grants run out, all of those things that happen, you have that safety net that exists so that they can draw on that to keep up the operations. An endowment fund helps to sustain them when other things fail. Can you think of a better way to support the most vulnerable?
A contribution to the Forever Fund is one of the most powerful gifts you can create for YWCA Spokane. I hope you will consider us in your long-term giving plans.
The YWCA Spokane team would greatly appreciate it if you could take one moment to find the card inserted in your program to let them know what you think about contributing to the Endowed Forever Fund. Please place your completed survey in the envelope with your large checks at your table, along with any additional cash that you have for the survivors today. Thank you. Together, we can ensure these services remain in our community for generations to come. Endowment questionnaire slide will now show with the QR code. We also have a lot of other things in the teleprompter that I'm not supposed to be saying, so in just a moment, we will conclude this amazing event with a reading of a poem that was commissioned for today by Spokane's Poet Laureate, Mary Smith. But first, a few final announcements. Thank you again for being here. One of the greatest gifts you can give the YWCA is advocacy for their work. Share their mission and programs of the Y with your loved ones, your circle of influence. Tell them about what you heard and felt today, about the educational programs. Invite conversation because your endorsement really matters. Remember, once again, the gorgeous centerpieces from Deluxe Events and Floral Design are for sale. all of the funds from the sale go to YWCA Spokane. You just scan the QR code on the centerpiece at the table to purchase and take home with you. And be sure to take your beautiful engraved cutting board, sponsored by Inland Imaging. Finally, Spokane's Stephanie Regalado has just published her first book. If They Only Knew is a collection of 60 anonymous stories shared with unwavering courage and honesty from women who have faced their own hidden challenges. And she will be out in the lobby selling and signing those copies. And again, we'll be donating $5 of the sale of each of those books back to the YWCA. Now, please help me welcome Spokane's Poet Laureate, Mary Smith.
Women budding, darling buds daring to bloom against winter's late frost and early teeth biting. It seems all at once a bloom, something recognizable, a symbol of what happens with all good growth, time and light. Curled into ourselves a haven, a hope for what is to come. Every woman here had to believe in life after dark. Women budding into space, 665 days, into the Supreme Court, 9,861 days, onto Major League Baseball fields, 1,490 days. And that is just the flashy news. Women budding while cheering on other sprouts, while we worked to feed and house ourselves, while we hadn't a clue what came next. At times it was only bright green faith, unsure but scrappy. Buds which came to us as seeds now bear fruit, a life made delicious, precious, all deep red. Stronger we stand in the sunlight of the Spirit, so we named this flower, Lean on Your Sister. Wrote the instructions for sowing. Reach for that which is yours. Let sunshine in. A divine timing. Applaud every turn. Blooming can be frightening. Rest. Come spring, come new earth, come smelling our hair and nails, come what may be, we'll be ready. Welcome our fears like friends, a fertilizer. What comes to us will always grow. What's ripe or rot, we'll always know. Trusted tangles in this ecosystem we call home. Come rain, come aphids, come morning dew, come prudence, come mothers, come advocates too. Budding women, come see what grew while you thought you were sleeping, a new and wonderful, beautiful you. Thank you.
I can't think of a better way to conclude our incredible Women of Achievement celebration. Go forth, enjoy this beautiful day. You did great today supporting the YWCA, and we will see you next year.